That's how I started sharing about using the Equiband. So I was introduced to the Equiband 5 years ago in 2020 when my horse was injured. He had a hole in his tendon. I can show you guys a picture of it. It's crazy. Now, after the hole was filled in, we then were set on our rehab. Now, rehabs go pretty much run of the mill for everyone, right? You do interval training until you build up to like 20, 25 minutes, and then they add in the canter, and then you work your way back to full work. But the challenge with rehabbing is what happens when your horse has to do the first phase, which is rest, is you lose all the muscles. And you don't just lose the muscles where the injury is, you lose muscles everywhere. And so what happens though is it becomes really dangerous to rehab any injury, because if you lose all your muscles, all of a sudden everything you're doing is harder. I actually just made a video on this, the 3 phases of rehab, and the third one that everybody forgets is strength. Strength is one of the most important aspects of your rehab. What happened though when I was given the Equiband during my rehab is there was like no information on the internet about it. Like, yes, they had a website and technically there was some advice on there. And when I asked the vet, I was like, hey, what do I do with this thing? They were like, look it up. And I was like, okay. I was set on this path because somebody said to me, okay, here's this tool. It's amazing. Use it, right? And then I was like, okay, how? And then I had to pretty much be a personal trainer and go backtrack and figure out how to create a program for this piece of equipment that nobody on the internet had any idea what to do with it, or if they did know what to do with it, they weren't sharing, right? That's how I started sharing about using the Equiband, because I was like, okay, like I can't be the only one struggling with this, and that's why I started creating all these videos. And so the funniest part about that is I went back then after I had the experience and I built all the tools that I would have wanted when I was in 2020 first going on the internet and being like, okay, well, what do I do? Because the first question inevitably is, how do you fit the Equiband? And then it turns out you have to do a bunch of math. And I was like, that sucks. I built a tool so that you can just plug in the numbers and you don't have to do the math. As you progress with the Equiband, you eventually tighten the Equiband, which leads to more math. This tool that I built is a way for people to, 1, not have to do any math, but 2, also as you progress, you can track your progress with the Equiband. So another thing that I built was an entire course, because you already have a weekly schedule, right? Like your horse already has a weekly program. So the question inevitably becomes how tight, how long, and how do I put it into a full-blown program? Like, it's not like you're sitting around being like, yeah, I have this extra day that we don't do anything on. I wonder what I could put there, especially if you're riding a competition horse, because I say this all the time, the Equiband is not just for rehab. I am making this video because I am dropping some huge news about my Equiband course. If you're interested in getting real results with the Equiband, then stay tuned, because you're not going to want to miss what I have coming this week.